understand your why. Why are you doing this? When you understand why you are starting this business, when things become hard, and they will, it gives you the fuel to keep going. And if you don't quit, you will reach your goals.
What's up, y'all? I'm Lauren. And I'm Adrienne. And this is the Two Mic, Two Glasses podcast, where two best friends discuss business ownership and life. So, yes, I'm super excited. I am very excited for today. Anyway, why are we excited today? So, we're excited today because we have our first guest. Yes! We are officially doing our How We Got Started or How They Got Started series. Yes, and we are bringing on special guests. And our first guest is very, very special. She is the owner of Mitchell Consulting, a.k.a. my boss. Yes, your boss. Boss lady. Boss lady. Yes. So before we bring her up, I'm going to read her bio. Yes. So Michelle Mitchell is the owner, financial strategist, and business advisor of Mitchell Consulting. Michelle is an expert in all things business, finances, and growth. Before starting Mitchell Consulting, she spent 10 years working in corporate finance, wishing she had the freedom to use her expertise and skills in a way that aligned with her passion and allowed her to be present in the rest of her life. She started Mitchell Consulting and never looked back. Michelle loves to coach and educate professional women who feel stuck and overwhelmed. Her genuine desire to see women succeed compels her to deliver expert advice and actionable information in a compassionate and non-judgmental manner. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yay.
I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Yes, we are excited to have you. So we're going to kick off this by asking you some fun facts. Okay. So the first fun fact is, what's your favorite book?
Oh, my favorite book?
Or one of your favorites?
Atomic Habits, maybe?
Atomic Habits. Okay. Book. Business book. We were talking about that in our top. That's at our top book. Yes. That's one of the. We actually had a lot of books that Michelle recommended on our top list. Yes. Profit First and Clockwork was in there too.
Profit First, Clockwork. Yeah, both. Yeah, it's a lot.
Atomic Habits. Yeah, and probably another one. The One Thing.
The One Thing.
Geniuses was from Michelle too. Is it?
The Big Leap.
I got the One Thing from you. And I got the One Thing from Julie, which probably was also Michelle. Yeah. Oh, what were you saying, Michelle?
The Big Leap. The
Big Leap.
12-year week. Like, there's a lot of them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Love it. Okay, next fun fact is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, I remember we had this question as one of our huddle questions. Being invisible. Because I'm nosy.
Invisible? So you would like sneak up on people's conversations?
I'm nosy without you knowing I'm nosy. Like, I like to observe. I like to observe, so yeah.
Yes. Okay, and then our last question is, since this is Two Mics, Two Glasses, what are you drinking today?
I'm currently drinking a latte. So.
Okay. Yes. We got to stay caffeinated. Mocha, regular, caramel?
It's more vanilla latte.
Vanilla?
Okay. Yes.
Yummy.
Mm-hmm. I love my Nespresso machine, so.
And if you want to make it Three Mics, Three Glasses, you could add some Kahlua. Yes. What would you add to it? Have a little party. So I've done Kahlua, I've done Bailey's, I've done Disaronno, the Amaretto. And you can do a what is it? The Irish coffee, which is like whiskey. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yum.
All delicious mix. Yes. So thank you, Michelle, for answering our question.
Sure.
Yeah. So we are super excited to get into your journey, and just we want to help our audience know that they can pretty much do anything they want to. So we want to ask you all of those questions about, like, how did you get started? What made you come here? So not all at once, but let's start off with your background. So before you started Mitchell Consulting, you said that you worked in corporate for 10 years. So let's talk about your journey leaving corporate America and what that looked like for you.
My journey in leaving corporate America was abrupt because I was laid off.
Oh, man. I was laid off too before I
Yeah,
went full time.
I was laid off from my job. I was a financial analyst at the time. And, like, as a finance person, you kind of see the handwriting on the wall. So things weren't looking good for the division I was in. So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't that surprised. Yes, I was surprised that they picked me as one to lay off, but because I thought I was essential.
You're
But
like, I'm safe.
I
I'm
know,
me.
right? They need people to crunch these numbers. But that abrupt layoff was a blessing in disguise. I didn't know that it was a blessing until a few years later, but it was a blessing in disguise because my personal life was stressful because I had a small
Cool.
child and I was pregnant. And just
Oh,
balancing
wow.
motherhood and being a professional woman with a demanding job was very, very stressful. And I wasn't aware how stressful it was until I was out of it.
So you didn't know how tough things were until they got a little easier
That's correct.
and you were like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah. Because,
how did I do that? How did I get through it?
yeah. Because, at the time I came out of college, it was expected that you go into corporate America. There was no other thought of being an entrepreneur. You just go into corporate America, right? So I did that. And what looked like from the outside, I had my dream job. And I did. I had my dream job. But the struggle on the inside was I was feeling unfulfilled, and my personal life was stressful because of trying to balance the children at that time.
Amen.
So it was a blessing in disguise, but didn't realize that until a while later.
Okay, so you're out of corporate and you're going into business for yourself. But what made you start Mitchell Consulting and go into that type of business? I know you have an accounting background, but like, we know as accountants that there are different levels. Like, it's not just like, oh, I want to be a bookkeeper. You could have gone to like many avenues in accounting. So what made you want to start in the one that you went into?
Yeah, the way that started, my husband was very active in the community on the economic development side, and he would run into nonprofits that needed help with QuickBooks or needed a budget or something like that. And he was always, my wife can help you with that. And I'm like, but whoa, whoa, whoa. I have corporate experience. I don't know nothing about that. But long story short, like, I helped nonprofits for free, and it allowed me the opportunity to learn QuickBooks at that time. I didn't know anything about QuickBooks. I knew it was an accounting software used for small businesses, but coming from corporate, I had no experience with it at all. Working with nonprofits for free gave me the opportunity to learn the software, which is why when it was time for me to start Mitchell Consulting, is why I started with small businesses, because I'm like, hey, this QuickBooks thing could be a way to get clients. And that's exactly what it was. So I went from a novice to, like, really learning QuickBooks and teaching it to other people. So that's how I got started in Mitchell Consulting.
You said that when you got laid off, that was when you started going into business for yourself. I know in your particular situation, you were married, you had small kids. Was there any financial pressure for you to like really grow your business really quickly during that time? Or did you have like a lot of support from your husband to kind of
Yeah.
cover, most of the expenses while you transition?
Yeah. So the span of time between the time I got laid off to the time I started Mitchell Consulting was about 8 years. During that time, I was a stay-at-home mom. Like I was a mom. I was
Okay.
dealing with the kids. But I'm at this time I'm also looking for opportunities for me to help support the family financially because when I was laid
Mhm.
off, I wasn't the breadwinner, but I earned more. I had a larger portion of the household income. uh,
Okay.
so
Which it sounds like that might have been more of the disposable income or like some of those extra expenses to
correct,
come in.
correct.
Is that
So
okay?
my husband is very supportive and he held it down. He held the uh, household, making sure that we had a place to live and we had lights and we had food, right? He could provide the basics. So whatever I could bring in, I brought in the extra. So whatever work I was doing, I always brought in the extra. And we
Okay.
still live that way today. I bring the extra. He takes care of making sure we have a place to live and food on the table. But I bring the extra so it allows us to do more fun things, but we kept our budget, our personal budget small because when you start a business, you either need to have extra income coming in or you need someone else helping you support your household while you're building the
Yeah.
business. And he's been
Yeah.
very helpful in that way. And because of my mindset about finances, we never really extended our budget based on my business income. So no matter what happened,
Okay.
we could either save more or we could do more because I was making the extra, but we are never dependent on, not really dependent on what I bring in from the business. It was always the fun.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. And it's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
Yeah. It's a big blessing. Yeah. I was thinking of that in comparison to my financial journey because it was similar with like being laid off.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think as a single, it's
It
tough.
is tough, yeah.
I think there's just more pressure to produce quicker, as a single. Speaking of producing, so you're starting your new business, you're on this journey, you're making the play money, but how did you find your clients? Like I think new people starting businesses, they either stumble across clients or it's like a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of I have to do this for free to figure out like how can I serve? What did you do? But then also what would you suggest a newer entrepreneur do to find those clients? And like how do they become more intentional than us who just kind of fumbled around and finding new people? Right, right. Especially in your field, like for kind of accounting, bookkeeping clients. Yeah.
I'm sure you're enjoying this episode, but we wanted to quickly pop in to let you know about the cool swag we're wearing today. AMW Apparel is a line of inspirational and entrepreneurial clothing for those looking to stand out and make a statement to their following. We provide comfortable and high quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, tank tops, and more. Enter code 2mics2glasses, which is the number 2 MICS, the number 2 again, GLASSES, with no spaces, for 10% off your first order at shopwithamw.com. Link in the description. We appreciate your support.
Yeah. So first off, I never depended on my family. I never asked a family member or a friend to become a client. Period. I
So
wanted to
did
do this on my own. Like my very first client came from me applying for a job. I applied for a bookkeeper's position and the interview went well. And on my second interview, I asked them if they would consider this position being a contracted position. which
Oh,
would
I love
give
that.
me flexibility to have more than one client, right? So
Yeah.
I was able to convince them to hire me as an independent contractor. And that
Nice.
relationship lasted until the owner retired. So it lasted
Wow.
about 12 years. And
Wow.
I
That was
was,
amazing.
yes.
Yeah. Was it full-time hours? Full-time or
So
part-time
no, I
hours?
did not want full-time hours because remember I had children, so I could only work between 9 and 3. So in the
Okay.
beginning, I would
Very.
go into their office and work like 3 days a week, I think, but only between 9 and 3. And they were happy with that. Eventually, I went completely remote with them over time, and I never went into the office, you know. But for new businesses starting out, one, you can apply for jobs and ask them if you can become a contractor because it worked for me. Two, I was in the accounting space and I knew that most business owners needed some type of software for their finances. So, like I said before, I learned QuickBooks and I knew that if I could teach QuickBooks, then I could be in front of small businesses who needed services that I could provide. So I started teaching classes for a very
Yeah.
nominal amount. Like it was hardly nothing to teach classes, but it got me in front of small business owners. And some of those people I was teaching became clients, whether for a project or, a more long-term engagement. But that's how I started, and just networking and being part of different groups in my local market is really where I got my footing and got started. And I can remember going to networking events and I'm like, I don't know what to talk about for accounting. Like most people don't understand it. But
Right. That's true. That's me.
yeah, but I figured out people had a pain point. Like they were afraid of the number. Like they don't know what to do. So then I just started, really learning about the questions I was being asked, so then I could present things that were relevant to the people at the networking events. So I mean that's really how I got started.
Okay, so three ways. You would interview for jobs and then
Mhm.
ask for what you want.
Yep.
You would teach QuickBooks, so teach others what you're an expert in. So you were sharing information freely and you were able to bring in and find clients that way. And then last, you would join a lot of local networking and small business owner things to find people, probably so like not just finding clients, but you probably found a lot of like support
Yes.
and helping you through, obstacles that you were going through as an entrepreneur. So, okay, those are some really key takeaways. I think it can apply to pretty much any
Any
industry.
profession.
Yeah.
Great way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really good information. Yeah. And Michelle, I remember a couple years ago, we were catching up and you were saying that most of your clients, you met them somewhere and then you had like a kind of networking call or like a connection Zoom or something, and then they became clients. What was that like exact method that you did?
Sure. So I would
Go
meet
ahead.
people through networking, and it's not about getting quantity of business cards when you're networking.
Cool.
So you're trying to build long term relationships, but in the beginning, I really didn't know that. I was just meeting people, right? Meeting people, and then I would have like a one-on-one with them, which means we would either go to lunch or we would have coffee. So there was some investment of time to get to know people, and then I started developing these business relationships. And those business relationships over the years have generated revenue for us. Those one-on-one calls, because I show up in an authentic way, I'm not trying to sell anything. Just trying to understand what the problem is that this particular person is having in front of me, and just giving my authentic advice and help. And if they happen to need our services, I will offer them the service. So that's one of the things new entrepreneurs are afraid of is one, they're going in to sell. No, do not go in to sell. Go in to really
Uh-huh.
get to know and understand the person in front of you. And when you find
Uh-huh.
out what their needs are, then you can make them an offer. But it typically didn't happen in that first setting. It may have happened over
Okay.
time.
Okay. So you had to like kind of invest in people, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess that takes I guess it takes some discernment to understand the right people to invest time in, because you don't want to waste
True.
time. And sometimes we can invest in people who will waste your time,
True.
and just kind of want things from you. But I think having a good handle on like who you really want to provide services to, and making sure the people that you're spending that type of time with meet that criteria is kind of important for not wasting time, I guess.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, which, now I really love that people have been introduced to Zoom platform because of what we went through a few years ago. Prior to that, I was trying to use this platform with people and they just didn't get it. But I knew it to leverage my time, right? So now when I meet someone at a networking event, I immediately schedule a one-on-one connection call, which can be 15 to 30 minutes. I'm not investing a whole lot of time, and it's really with the intent of getting to know that person. And at the end of that call, you can make a decision on whether or not it's worth a follow-up to you.
So you're
Yeah.
scheduling when you're in person with them?
Yes. Yes, I have an app on my
Oh, how do you get them on board to that?
Yeah, I just say, "Hey, let's just schedule a call right now." Like,
Okay.
leave with appointments
That's
on the
great.
calendar. Leave with
Yes.
appointments on the calendar. That's the best
That's
way.
amazing. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're you're trying to run people down all the time. I don't have time for that.
Right. You send a follow-up
Yeah,
email and they may
and
never
they ghost you on your
respond.
email. So, Lord knows, I
Right.
just recently started calling out people who are trying to ghost us. I'm like, I didn't take you for the type of person that would ghost me.
Ooh. So, like, what's going
Yeah.
on? I'm here for that. We need that type of honesty, okay? That is funny. I love that though. Like, I don't know. I don't know anybody else there's nobody that I've really met, really, other than like them trying to get me to go to an event or something or register for an event. But there's nobody that I've like networked with who's tried to schedule like on the spot. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Time is
saves time, and it saves you.
time is of the essence. So I don't have time to be chasing people. Like, either you want to get to know me or you don't. So I have a QR
Mhm.
code on my phone
I love that.
that goes right to my calendar. So
I love that. Yeah. And clearly my memory is not great, so it does help with having to remember to follow up with them. They'll already be on your calendar. Yeah. And sometimes you can automate that too. Like obviously if you book with them in person and it's on the calendar, you have their email there. Sometimes there could be like an automatic confirmation that maybe you can personalize after too. Yeah. Michelle, so I love this networking. It seems like that's like the main thing about how you were successful. People that are like just getting started in business, where are some places that you would recommend they go, or events that they should go to get started with networking?
to get started with networking, the first place I would check out is my local chamber. Your local chamber typically
Okay.
has events on a regular basis that you can attend, typically without being in the chamber at first. And then, there's a nominal fee that they charge to be a part of the chamber, but I would check that out. I would also check out your local SBA organizations. So it could be a business organization. It could just be a business organization where other entrepreneurs are hanging out. And they typically have training programming too. So if it's something that you are not an expert in, then that's one way to start learning about things you don't know about. And then your interest groups. So if you're an attorney, go to the attorneys association. If you're a realtor, go to the realtors association. If you're in marketing, what's the local marketing association? So I would start local first before you start branching out into other areas as a new entrepreneur. Even if you have a brick and mortar, like where can you get in front of your ideal client? So it could be farmers markets, it could be expos, it could be things like that. And I'm telling you now, when you put skin in the game, you get more return. So I know people want to go to things that are free, but when there are paid events, people come out of their pocket to pay. So it's a different caliber of person that shows up to a paid event versus a free event. So you need to think about that too.
That's great. Yeah, that's like really good. And when you say chamber, just to clarify for the newbies, it's Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, Chamber of Commerce.
And there's one in most cities, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. Our area. Cool. Michelle, how can they follow you?
Sure, you can follow me on, go to my website, of course, at mitchellconsultingservice.com. You can follow me on Facebook at Mitchell Consulting and on Instagram at Mitchell_consulting. So that's where you can find us.
For the new people, I think we should end on encouragement, right? So like, what would be your word of encouragement for people just starting out? She toasting to, or well, I guess it could be like what we could toast to your word of encouragement, but like, what would be your words for those who are getting their foot in the game, starting an accounting business, like in the same business as you are, like, just give us some gems to end off on.
Okay, I will do my best. So for those who are just starting out, understand your why. Why are you doing this? When you understand why you are starting this business, when things become hard, and they will, it gives you the fuel to keep going. And if you don't quit, you will reach your goals, but you can't quit.
See, amen. Amen. So I guess we toasting to understanding your why. Understanding your why.
Yes.
Cheers. Yeah. And thank you so much, Michelle. We enjoyed having you. It's been amazing.